The piercing shriek of alien klaxons jolted Commander Sebastian Gray awake from his dreamless sleep. His eyes snapped open to the harsh blue emergency lights of his quarters aboard the ISS Dauntless, Earth's first and only interstellar diplomatic vessel. 23 days into their maiden journey to the Galactic Council's headquarters on Nexus Prime, and something had finally gone wrong. "Captain to the bridge immediately," the ship's AI announced with alarming urgency. "First contact protocols have been violated. Hostile boarding in progress." Sebastian scrambled into his uniform, his heart pounding against his ribs. After decades of searching the stars for intelligent life, humanity had finally received an invitation to present their case for joining the Galactic Council just 3 months ago. Earth had rushed to retrofit their most advanced space station into a diplomatic vessel, sending their best and brightest to make first contact. The corridors echoed with the thunder of boots as the skeleton crew raced to their stations. Sebastian rounded the corner to the bridge, nearly colliding with Dr. Elena Vasquez, the mission's chief xenobiologist. "What the hell is happening?" Sebastian demanded as they both rushed through the sliding doors onto the bridge. The answer stood before them, towering over the navigation console. 3 alien figures, bipedal but distinctly not human. Their skin resembled polished obsidian, reflecting the emergency lights in prismatic patterns. Their eyes, 4 per being, blinked independently of each other, taking in the humans with cold calculation. "Commander Gray," the center alien spoke, its voice a symphony of harmonics that made Sebastian's teeth ache. "I am Arbiter Zex of the Galactic Council's Assessment Division. Your vessel's approach has been terminated." Captain Harlow, a veteran of Earth's space program with silver hair and the demeanor of someone who'd seen too much, stepped forward. "Arbiter Zex, we're on a peaceful diplomatic mission at the Council's invitation. Why have you boarded our vessel without permission?" The alien's upper eyes narrowed. The invitation was premature. "The Preliminary Assessment Committee has reviewed your species' history and technological advancement. The Council has rescinded its invitation." Sebastian felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "On what grounds?" "Primitivity," another alien stated flatly. "Your species has only recently developed faster than light capabilities, and your civilization remains fractured. Your technological advancement is inconsistent with Council membership standards." Elena stepped forward, indignation clear on her face. "We've cured cancer, mastered fusion energy, and developed sustainable terraforming. We've lived peacefully as a unified Earth for 30 years. And yet," the third alien said, gesturing to the bridge around them, "your weapons systems remain primitive. Your defensive capabilities are negligible. You would be a liability to the Council, not an asset." Captain Harlow's face hardened. "The invitation specified we come unarmed as a show of peaceful intentions." "A test you passed," Arbiter Zex acknowledged, "but one that confirms our assessment. Any species so willing to travel defenseless through unknown space lacks the fundamental understanding of cosmic realities." Sebastian felt anger rising in his chest. 3 months of preparation, the hopes of an entire planet, all dismissed because they'd followed instructions too well. "This is absurd. You can't judge an entire species based on the assessment is final," Arbiter Zex interrupted. "Your vessel will be escorted back to your solar system. Council membership requires a certain level of advancement. Return in perhaps a century when your primitive state has been remedied." The bridge fell silent. Sebastian looked around at the faces of his crew, shock, disappointment, anger, all the emotions he felt himself. Earth had pinned so much hope on this mission. International cooperation had reached unprecedented levels preparing for it. and now dismissed as primitives. Request permission to at least present our case, Captain Harlow said firmly. We've come 17 light years. Surely the Council can spare an hour to hear what we have to offer. The aliens conferred in their native language, a series of clicks and harmonics impossible for human vocal cords to replicate. Finally, Arbiter Zex turned back to them. You may present your case to the Preliminary Assessment Committee. 1 representative, 1 hour. Then you will return to Earth. Sebastian stepped forward before Captain Harlow could respond. I'll go. Commander Gray, the captain began, but Sebastian cut him off. With respect, Captain, I've spent the last decade studying comparative xenopolitics. I know our dossier better than anyone on this ship. The captain held Sebastian's gaze for a long moment before nodding. Make it count, Commander. Arbiter Zex gestured toward the doorway. Our vessel is docked with yours. We depart immediately. Sebastian followed the aliens through the corridors of the Dauntless, his mind racing. This was humanity's one shot, and he had no idea how to convince an advanced alien council that humans weren't primitive. He touched the small pocket on his uniform, where he kept his personal items, including a gift from his grandfather that might now be more valuable than he could have imagined. The alien ship was nothing like Sebastian had expected. Rather than the sleek, metallic interior common in human science fiction, the walls seemed almost organic, pulsing with an inner light that responded to the aliens' movements. The air carried a faint scent of ozone and something like cinnamon. The committee awaits, Arbiter Zex said, leading Sebastian into what appeared to be a transportation chamber. Stand still. Before Sebastian could respond, a wave of vertigo washed over him. His vision blurred, and when it cleared, he found himself in an enormous chamber. 7 different alien species sat in a semicircle before him, with Arbiter Zex and his companions taking their places among them. Human Sebastian Gray, announced a bulbous creature with translucent skin, through which Sebastian could see multiple organs working in concert. You may present your case for council reconsideration. Sebastian straightened his uniform and stepped forward. Esteemed members of the committee, I stand before you representing not just humanity, but a species at a crossroads. We may be younger than your civilizations, but youth should not be confused with primitivity. For the next 40 minutes, Sebastian presented humanity's case. He spoke of Earth's technological advancements, their cultural achievements, their recent unification after centuries of conflict. He showed holographic demonstrations of their medical breakthroughs, their environmental restoration projects, their artistic accomplishments. The committee remained impassive, occasionally murmuring among themselves in languages his translator couldn't decipher. Sebastian felt his confidence waning with each passing minute. Your species shows promise, acknowledged a reptilian alien with feathered crests. But promise is not readiness. Your technological capabilities, particularly in defense and weaponry, remain centuries behind minimum council standards. We came unarmed as requested, Sebastian countered. A diplomatic gesture, the alien replied, but one that demonstrates naivety. The cosmos is dangerous. The Council requires members capable of defending not only themselves but contributing to collective security. Sebastian felt frustration building. So you invited us here to show you our weapons. That seems contrary to the spirit of peaceful cooperation. We invited you to demonstrate your level of advancement, corrected a 4-armed being wrapped in flowing robes. Your species clearly is not ready. Sebastian reached into his pocket, fingers closing around his grandfather's gift. A desperate idea formed in his mind. Perhaps I can offer a demonstration after all. The committee members shifted, their interest piqued. You believe humans are primitive because our visible technology appears simple to you, Sebastian continued, pulling out what looked like an ordinary metal pen. But true advancement isn't always about size or obvious complexity. A writing implement, scoffed a crystalline entity, its voice resonating like wind chimes. This proves our point, human. Sebastian held up the pen. This belonged to my grandfather, Thomas Gray. He was a physicist specializing in quantum mechanics and miniaturization. This isn't just a pen. With practiced movements, Sebastian twisted the pen's cap, pressed a recessed button on its side, and placed it on the floor before stepping back. A soft hum filled the chamber as the pen began to glow with a pale blue light. "What is this device?" demanded Arbiter Zex, rising from his seat. "We call it a quantum displacement field generator," Sebastian explained, the name coming to him from his grandfather's journals, or QDF for short. The pen's glow intensified, and a translucent bubble began expanding outward from it, engulfing Sebastian and spreading toward the committee members, who recoiled in alarm. "Cease this demonstration immediately," ordered the bulbous alien. "I assure you it's perfectly safe," Sebastian said calmly, though his heart was racing. "The field doesn't harm living tissue, it simply displaces it from conventional spacetime." As if to prove his point, Sebastian reached down and picked up a small stone from the chamber floor. When he released it within the bubble, instead of falling, it hung suspended in midair, slowly rotating. The committee members watched in stunned silence as Sebastian reached out and pushed the stone. It moved through the air as if through thick liquid, its path curved by forces invisible to the eye. "Quantum gravity manipulation," whispered the four-armed alien, "at room temperature, in a device that size." "Impossible," stated the reptilian. "Our scientists have theorized such technology, but the energy requirements alone would be tremendous," Sebastian finished. "Unless you've discovered how to tap into zero-point energy at the quantum level." This was, of course, a bluff. The device was actually his grandfather's experimental prototype, the last project he'd worked on before his death. Sebastian had brought it as a good luck charm, knowing only that it demonstrated some unusual quantum properties that his grandfather had been very excited about. He'd never actually activated it before. "Our assessment may have been hasty," conceded Arbiter Zex, approaching the edge of the field cautiously. "How does your species deploy this technology?" Sebastian maintained his confident expression while his mind raced. "That would be classified information, Arbiter. Just as I'm sure the Council doesn't share all its technological secrets with non-members." The committee members conferred among themselves in urgent tones. Sebastian used the moment to study the device more carefully. The blue glow was intensifying, and he noticed small arcs of energy beginning to dance across the surface of the field. That couldn't be good. "Human Gray," the bulbous alien finally addressed him. "The committee requests a temporary recess to discuss this new information. Deactivate your device." Sebastian nodded, stepping forward to retrieve the pen. As his fingers touched it, a sharp jolt of energy shot up his arm, causing him to stumble back with a cry of pain. "Is there a problem?" asked the reptilian alien, suspicion evident in its voice. Sebastian forced a smile through the pain. "A simple feedback surge. These prototypes can be temperamental." In truth, he had no idea how to shut it down. The field was expanding more rapidly now, and the energy arcs were becoming more frequent. Whatever his grandfather had created, it was becoming unstable. "I believe we should conclude this demonstration," Sebastian said, trying to keep his voice steady. "The field will dissipate on its own shortly." This was another lie. Sebastian had no idea what would happen next, but the growing look of alarm on the aliens' faces suggested they were detecting something his human senses couldn't perceive. "This chamber is detecting chronotin particles," announced the crystalline entity. "The field is affecting temporal stability." Sebastian's heart sank. Time manipulation was far beyond anything humans had achieved. Whatever his grandfather had stumbled upon was more significant than he'd realized. "Evacuate the chamber," ordered Arbiter Zex. "Seal all temporal containment protocols." The committee members hurried from their seats as alarms began to sound throughout the chamber. Sebastian found himself alone with the expanding field and the increasingly unstable device. "Wait," he called after them. "I need help shutting this down." The four-armed alien paused at the doorway. "You claim to understand this technology, human. If you cannot control it, you have proven our point about your species' primitivity." With that, the alien departed, sealing the chamber behind it. Sebastian stared at the glowing pen, now hovering at the center of a field nearly 10 meters in diameter. The stone he had placed in it earlier was now moving in complex patterns, occasionally blinking in and out of visibility. "Grandfather, what did you create?" Sebastian muttered, approaching the edge of the field. He needed to contain this situation quickly. If he couldn't, not only would he likely die, but humanity's chances at council membership would be destroyed forever. Worse, they might be deemed a threat. Taking a deep breath, Sebastian stepped fully into the field. The sensation was unlike anything he'd experienced, as if every atom in his body was suddenly aware of itself, vibrating at frequencies just slightly out of sync with the rest of reality. Moving was difficult, like walking through invisible molasses. Each step toward the center required tremendous effort. As he got closer to the pen, he could see it was no longer a solid object, but seemed to be phasing between multiple states of existence simultaneously. A memory flashed in Sebastian's mind, his grandfather showing him the pen years ago, explaining that it contained experimental technology based on his life's work. "It's not ready yet, Seb," his grandfather had said. "The theories are sound, but the application... well, let's just say it needs refinement. Promise me you'll keep it safe." Safe. Not activated in an alien council chamber light years from Earth, Sebastian reached the center of the field. The pen hovered before him, surrounded by dancing particles of light. Gritting his teeth against the strange sensations coursing through his body, he reached for it. His hand passed through the space where the pen appeared to be. "What the?" A voice came over hidden speakers in the chamber. "Human Gray, our sensors indicate a quantum entanglement cascade is forming. If you cannot stabilize the device, we will be forced to jettison this entire section of the station into space." Sebastian focused, trying to recall everything his grandfather had ever mentioned about his work. Thomas Gray had been obsessed with the intersection of quantum mechanics and relativity specifically. The idea that the two theories could be reconciled through higher dimensional mathematics. The pen wasn't where it appeared to be, because it was partially existing in another dimension. Sebastian closed his eyes, letting his senses adjust to the strange environment within the field. Rather than trying to see the pen, he tried to feel its presence, the distortion it created in the fabric of reality around it. There a sensation like a tooth filling detecting a radio signal. Sebastian reached toward it, his fingers brushing against something solid despite there being nothing visibly there. The moment he touched it, knowledge flooded into his mind, not through his eyes or ears, but directly into his consciousness. The pen wasn't just a device. It was a key to understanding reality at its most fundamental level. His grandfather had created it not as a weapon, but as a teaching tool, a way to demonstrate principles that couldn't be explained with conventional physics. Sebastian understood now. The pen was designed with a safety protocol. It would continue expanding its field until the user demonstrated understanding of the principles involved. It was a test, not a weapon. With newfound clarity, Sebastian manipulated the invisible controls of the device, adjusting parameters that existed in dimensions his human brain could barely comprehend. The field began to stabilize, the energy arcs diminishing. The chamber door slid open, and Arbiter Zex entered cautiously, followed by several other committee members. "The cascade is subsiding," the crystalline entity observed. "How did you achieve this?" Sebastian turned to face them, the pen now visible and solid in his hand. "By understanding what it truly is. This isn't a weapon, it's a key to understanding reality itself." "Explain," demanded the reptilian alien. "My grandfather created this as a teaching tool, a way to demonstrate higher dimensional physics. It creates a localized field where the normal rules of spacetime are temporarily suspended, allowing direct manipulation of quantum properties." "And your military applications for this technology?" asked the four-armed alien. Sebastian shook his head. "There aren't any, at least, none that we've developed. Its purpose is educational, not destructive." The committee members exchanged glances. "Yet this educational tool nearly caused a temporal catastrophe," Arbiter Zex pointed out. "Because I activated it without fully understanding it," Sebastian admitted. "But that's the point of education, isn't it? To move from ignorance to understanding. Humans may not have all the answers yet, but we're asking the right questions." The bulbous alien moved forward, its translucent organs pulsing with what Sebastian hoped was interest rather than anger. "May I examine this device?" Sebastian hesitated. The pen was possibly the most advanced piece of technology humans had ever created. Handing it over would reveal exactly how far behind they truly were compared to the Council races, but refusing would only reinforce the perception of humans as primitive and paranoid. "Of course," Sebastian said, offering the pen. "Though I should warn you, it responds to thought patterns. Without understanding its principles, activating it could be dangerous." The alien took the pen carefully, studying it with multiple eyes that emerged from its gelatinous body. "Fascinating. The construction is crude by our standards, yet the theoretical framework. Your grandfather was a remarkable being." "Thank you," Sebastian said. "He believed that understanding is the path to advancement. That's why humanity seeks membership in the Council, not because we believe we have nothing to learn, but because we recognize how much we still have to learn." The committee members conferred again, this time with Sebastian still present. After several minutes of deliberation in languages his translator couldn't handle, Arbiter Zex turned to him. "Human Gray, your demonstration has raised more questions than it has answered. Your species possesses theoretical knowledge beyond your technological capabilities. This inconsistency requires further evaluation." Sebastian felt a glimmer of hope. "So, you'll reconsider our application?" "The committee has decided to establish a preliminary observation post in your solar system," the four-armed alien explained. "Not full membership, but a path toward it. We will send representatives to assess your civilization more thoroughly over the next 5 Earth years." "And if we pass this extended assessment?" Sebastian asked. "Then formal membership negotiations may begin," the reptilian alien said. It wasn't the immediate acceptance they'd hoped for, but it was far better than being dismissed as primitives and sent home. 5 years of cultural and technological exchange would benefit Earth tremendously, even if full membership remained uncertain. "On behalf of humanity, I accept these terms," Sebastian said formally. The bulbous alien returned the pen to Sebastian. "Keep this safe, human." It represents a level of theoretical understanding that few young species achieve so quickly. With proper development, it could form the foundation for technologies your people have only dreamed of. "I will," Sebastian promised, returning it to his pocket. The journey back to the Dauntless was conducted in a much different atmosphere than the journey away from it. The aliens treated Sebastian with a cautious respect, asking questions about human science and culture that suggested genuine interest rather than condescension. When they arrived at the docking bay, Arbiter Zex addressed Sebastian one final time. "We will be following your vessel back to Earth at a respectful distance. Upon arrival, we will establish formal diplomatic channels through your world governments." Sebastian nodded. "We'll be ready." "One more thing, Human Gray," the alien added. "The device you demonstrated today. There are species in the galaxy who would kill to possess such technology, primitive as its current form might be. I suggest your people guard it carefully." "Understood," Sebastian said gravely. Back aboard the Dauntless, Captain Harlow and the crew waited anxiously for Sebastian's report. When he explained the outcome, a mixture of relief and excitement spread through the bridge. "So we're not joining the council yet, but we're not being dismissed either," the captain summarized. "And all because of your grandfather's pen," Sebastian nodded, holding up the ordinary-looking device. "It turns out we're not as primitive as they thought. We just express our advancement differently." Dr. Elena Vasquez studied the pen with scientific curiosity. "Thomas Gray. I've read some of his theoretical papers. They were considered fringe science, weren't they? Something about reconciling quantum mechanics with relativity through extra-dimensional mathematics." "Fringe to us," Sebastian agreed, "but apparently not to the council races." They seemed genuinely impressed by the theoretical framework, even if the implementation is crude by their standards. Captain Harlow's expression turned serious. "If this device is as significant as they suggest, we'll need to establish proper security protocols immediately and prepare Earth for what's coming. 5 years of alien observation isn't what our governments were expecting." "No," Sebastian agreed, "but it's an opportunity, a chance to learn, to grow, to prepare ourselves for eventual membership." As the Dauntless prepared for the journey home, Sebastian stood at the observation window, watching the stars. His grandfather's voice seemed to echo in his memory. "The universe is full of wonders, Seb. Someday you'll see them all." He hadn't understood then what Thomas Gray had truly meant. His grandfather hadn't just been talking about the stars and planets. He'd been talking about the fundamental nature of reality itself, the hidden dimensions and quantum possibilities that most humans never glimpsed. Sebastian turned the pen over in his hands, feeling its weight, the weight of humanity's future. They had been dismissed as primitives, only to demonstrate a theoretical understanding that even advanced species found impressive. Not through aggression or superior firepower, but through curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge. In 5 years, the Council would make their final assessment. By then, with the guidance of his grandfather's work and the knowledge gained from interaction with Council representatives, humanity would be ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors or primitives, but as explorers and learners. The ship's engines hummed to life as Earth's coordinates were set. Sebastian Gray pocketed the pen that had changed humanity's destiny and prepared to go home, bearing news of a universe much stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. As the Dauntless accelerated toward Earth, Council ships following at a respectful distance, Sebastian couldn't help but smile at the irony. His grandfather's pen, a device the aliens couldn't fully comprehend, despite their advanced technology, had proven humanity's worth not as a weapon, but as a key to understanding reality itself. Perhaps that was the greatest lesson of all. True advancement wasn't measured by destructive capability, but by understanding. And in that realm, humanity had just proven it wasn't primitive at all. The journey home would take weeks, but Sebastian knew Earth would never be the same again. The stars had opened up to humanity not because they had demonstrated power, but because they had demonstrated potential. And potential, as his grandfather had always said, was the most powerful force in the universe. When the Dauntless finally reached Earth orbit, 21 days later, they were met by a flurry of communication and activity. News of the mission's outcome had preceded them, transmitted through the faster-than-light communication system they'd established before departure. Earth's governments had already begun preparing for the arrival of the Council observation team. International cooperation had reached unprecedented levels, with former adversaries working together to present humanity in the best possible light. As Sebastian stepped off the shuttle onto Earth soil for the first time in nearly 2 months, he was greeted as a hero, the man whose quick thinking had secured humanity's future among the stars. But in his pocket, the pen remained a constant reminder of how much they still had to learn and how far they had yet to go. The next 5 years would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. And Sebastian Gray, carrying his grandfather's legacy, would be at the forefront of that journey, not with weapons or threats, but with understanding and the pursuit of knowledge. In the end, that had been enough to impress even the most advanced species in the Galactic Council. And it would be enough to secure humanity's future among the stars.